sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are. Welcome and hello, everybody. This is Andrew David Blake Newbar's partner program. If you are joining us live, appreciate you being here. Recordings should be getting updated come beginning of the week, so I'm excited for that. The world of social media is an interesting one, and it is there's always something new. If we had these conversations 15, 20 years ago, and we said that we would be sitting here, with people all over the world, and we would be doing video calls, and I'd be looking at you in your living room, a lot of you would tell me I'm absolutely bonkers. But we have here people on a boat in Spain. We've got people from the Philippines. We've got others down living the Pura Vida and other people from all over the world, right? And yet here we are online. And if I had told you 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that you would be meeting people on Zoom, a lot of you guys didn't know what Zoom was probably until COVID hit and you started seeing it all the time. And yet here we are. MySpace. Did anybody have a MySpace account? I know a couple of you probably did. MySpace might have even been before Michaela was around. Good Lord, I'm getting old. So that was kind of that first intro to that, right? How many of you guys remember Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan with You've Got Mail? How many of you guys remember that? There we go. Now we'll date some of us. You've Got Mail. How many of you guys remember the fax machine sounding wacko sound when you would go turn on the internet? It's like and you'd have to wait for 10 minutes. And then you had things like Napster, to download music. And people were getting in trouble because they were pirating music. And oh my gosh, I can't believe people are doing this. And you should go buy a DVD. And how many of you thought this internet thing's never going to take off? Right? Why? Like, who's going to do this? What is this .com? Like, if you go back and you watch like Brian Gumbel and some of the others from like the original Good Morning America, when they first start talking about AOL and this online space, the internet, no one's going to do that. I mean, I love reading the newspaper and having that in my hand and having a real photograph. Why would we do anything different? Right? The world is changing, ladies and gentlemen, and we're already in a different world. Now we're in the middle of what they call, Web 2.0 still. Okay, you guys remember that? So there's kind of the 1.0 was the initial just businesses and sites. 2.0 became, and Google and things, 2.0 became kind of the social sphere. So that's Facebook, Instagram, messaging, all of these different elements. 3.0 has been introduced, and it's still, honestly, it's growing. It's going to continue to grow. It's not going to go away, but it's going through some of the same learning curves and hiccups that Web 2.0 went through. Right. So, if you're thinking about crypto and NFTs and all of these other things, and you're wondering what's going to happen, go back and look at the original search engines, for example. So the top search engines now are Google, Bing, YouTube, Facebook, right? These social media things that are used as search engines. But if you go back, does anybody remember Ask Jeeves? Were any of those? A couple of you. Okay. That was the big one before Google came around. And there were others before that. Thousands. And then we had what? The .com bubble. Because so many of these websites, so many of these tech startups blew up. It didn't work. They didn't stick around. Happened again with social media. There have been a lot of other social media sites that have cropped up. Now, Web 3.0 is kind of going through that same growth phase where there's thousands and thousands of projects, NFT projects, and this is happening, that is happening, and all this stuff in the metaverse. And we're all confused and it's complicated. And we're confused and it's complicated because the reality is 80, 90% of them aren't going to stick around. They're not going to be here, right? They're not, because they're not set up on something that's actually going to work. Now, we are in a space where social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and some other elements there are going to continue to grow. Okay. They're there. They're not going away. Now, at some point, I fully recognize 5 years, 10 years from now, some things may change as the world continues to adapt, and we may end up in, having these meetings virtually, And when I say virtually, I mean in VR, right? Where we're all sitting around and half of you look like an elf or a dwarf or some of you will be in business suits, and meanwhile we're all just sitting in our room, in our shorts and t-shirts, right? So yeah, that could happen. But as business owners adapt and learn to continually adapt, entrepreneurs will fill the gap and help them solve problems. And the biggest problem that business owners are always going to have is how can they attract more customers, right? Princess Leia. There's Craig and Sarah popping in with Star Wars references. And I don't know, there's so many places I can go with that comment. I'm just going to leave it alone. Says a lot about you though, Sarah and Craig, but I think one of these days, I think Craig should show up in like a Jedi cosplay outfit and go from there. Anyway, back on topic. Business owners are always going to need to reach their customers. Entrepreneurs are the ones that are going to solve that. What you have currently with the partner program works fantastically well for both Facebook, and it does work well for businesses on LinkedIn. I will say that because I use it, right? Now, can I reach my clients? Can you reach your clients using Instagram? Sure. Can they build up their Instagram and reach clients using that? Absolutely. They would just put their link there, so they're not going to adjust their profile in exactly the same way, but you can build an audience on just about any type of platform. The products that we currently have are geared to help them change their Facebook or LinkedIn, if you want to kind of address, depending on your niche, to help them change their social media to turn it into a lead machine. We're trying to help businesses get business. Yes, we all get that. That's what we're trying to do. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to do it on Facebook. I'm going to do it on LinkedIn. I'm going to do it through social media. I'm going to go where my clients are as I'm reaching out to them. Organic reach is important. I keep seeing some people posting in the Facebook group. They're struggling with their ads. Odds are they haven't figured out the organic side yet. Now, paid ads is a faster way to get in front of people if you actually know how to do it. It's also a faster way to burn money. If you don't know how to do it, it can be a big headache. Okay. If Facebook ads were super easy, then I wouldn't have, a company that charged people to run Facebook ads or Google ads, right? It takes work, and it takes, typically there's headache involved with that work. So organically is a way that you can test things out. Now, when I say organic reach, what I mean is the work that you do on that platform to reach your audience without paying for advertising. That makes sense, right? So when I talk about organic reach from here on out, that's what I mean. What you're posting, what you're doing without having to pay for that reach. So let's kind of jump up, because occasionally I get, and I had someone question today, like, oh, is it still going? Is it still growing? Look, some of these stats are a little bit old, but this is January. 4.62 billion social media users on the planet. That continues to increase. It went up 10% over the last year. It didn't go down, it went up 10%. 2.5 hours of daily time spent on social media per user. 2.5 hours is what they're doing. So when we tell you, hey, you should spend 2 hours on your business a day, an hour to 3 hours a day, when people tell me I don't have time, I go, great, odds are you're already spending time on social media, just you're going to use it now for work. Okay. Over 50%, just under 60% of the total population is on social media. Please understand, this total population, this is worldwide. If we remove the amount of people that don't have access to the internet, at least in a legitimate way where they can consistently get on social media, both from where they are or age, 1 to 10, 12, or, they're older where they're just not on at all. If we removed kind of those fringes, then that number would be a lot higher, right? So, and this here, social media users versus the population 13 and over, 75% are on social media. So when people tell me, oh, I don't think my audience is on social media, BS, you just don't understand the numbers. You haven't looked. You just got to find them. Social media users. So 93% of people that are on the internet use social media. 46% of women, 53% of men. That changes up based on the ages and things. You can do the work and find for yourself. We'll comment in here. So yeah, organic reach, I simply mean is the work that you're doing, what you're posting, how you're interacting in groups, what you're doing without paying for reach. Organic reach just means the stuff that I'm doing. Okay. So it's the number of people who see your content without paid distribution. I'll give you guys this, these slides. I'm going to put it into the folder. So organic reach is people that see your content without paid distribution, includes people who are shown your posts in their own feed or because their friends have interacted with you. Paid reach is people who see your content as a result of paid promotions. There are two major reasons Facebook organic reach continues to drop. There's a lot of posts and they're personalizing it. That's what you got to know. How many of you guys have at one time or another, and be honest, how many of you guys at one time or another said, well, I don't want to post on my personal page because I'm worried my friends and family are going to see this and I'm worried about what they might say. Liars, the lot of you. Like seriously, every single one of you. But should I?
I just started. I don't care what they think. I just keep the people out that I care.
But you've been off for years because you were worried about
No, I just didn't like what they had to say. Like I just
okay. Well,
like the noise.
That'll work too. I wanted to ignore the family in general.
No, I'm very particular. Like I'm starting to get the noisy people trying to get me like following them, and I just have not accepted them. Like now that I realize what is going to be coming in, the politics.
Well, so this is where
family.
in groups, you're going to start interacting with your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to be as real as I can. And some of you guys have heard me say this, and some of you may totally disagree, and that's fine. Facebook is a tool, and I use that Facebook as a tool to run my business. That business is what helps me, or that tool is what helps me build my business, get customers. Those customers help me pay my bills, help me take care of my family and my life. So if I have a friend or family member that says, I don't want to see that, I go, okay, fine. I'll stop posting when you start sending me this much a month. Unless you're paying my bills, I don't care, right? This is my tool. I'm not getting into your email and worrying about who you're messaging, right? I'm saying that I understand that's harsh, but the reality is you may have a couple of people that will say, oh, why are you posting that? Because I run my business and Facebook is a tool. And the thing is now so much of the population understands that businesses use Facebook. And some of them may fuss about it, and yet they're staying on Facebook anyway. They're still there. 75% of them. So get over it. The other side of that, when you post, 5 to 10% of people are going to see it. 5 to 10%. So if you've got, because some of you guys I've got 400 friends. Okay, so if you post, there's a chance that maybe 20 to 30 of them might see that post. 20 to 30. Right? So if you were doing something and you had a room filled with 100 of your closest friends, just imagine 100 of them are there. 5 to 10 of them, if you're lucky, are going to see it. And if one of those 5 says, hey, right? Like if you were to shout something to this room of 100 people and 5 to 7 people are actually going to hear it, and one of them turns around and goes, hey, why'd you say that? Would you worry about that person, or would you go, how can I reach more of these over here? Right? Like that's what we got to worry about. You're going to always have somebody that just, it doesn't matter. And the more that you put out, guys, you'll hear some of it. I love, when I get people that message me back, I'm like, oh, good. So I'm reaching a broader audience. That's great. This is awesome. Right? Like that's what you got to, at
least you're paying attention.
Yeah. And saying there's a post. So like if you're seeing someone's post and you don't want to see it, you can unfollow them, where you remain friends, but you just won't see their stuff in your newsfeed, or you can snooze them for 30 days is what it says. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me pull up Facebook. Okay. So Kevin Thompson, and I love the guy. He's been on one of these calls. great trainer, great business mind, everything. If I don't want to see his stuff, I can come in here and I can hide the post. So I'll see fewer like that. I can snooze him for 30 days, or I can stop following, stop seeing posts, but stay friends. Right? Real simple. That's for you. And if someone else is giving you a hard time, you just go, hey man, I get it. If you don't want to see it, that's cool. Just unfollow them, because and then I go, I get it. Like 1 out of every 10 of my posts will probably talk about business. So, I mean, if that's just too much, then, and I am totally like, when people are coming at me and my business and that kind of thing, like I get passive aggressive. I'll admit it. Like, hey, if that 1 out of 10 posts is just too much for you, man, I understand. Just go ahead and unfollow. Well, but okay, fine. Then let's move on. Right. Yeah. They have to get used to the new me. We've talked about that before. Like, you guys are changing, you're increasing who you are and doing everything else. Don't worry about it. Right. So you want to have, if you're posting, Michael's saying you got your business page and your personal page. I would have both. There's no reason not to, because like he's saying, if you post on your personal page, reactions are mainly crickets. Like, okay, so I've got to then do more if I'm looking for organic reach. So if it's crickets from family, it's fine. If I want to create more influx of business, then I need to increase. Like, I got a comment yesterday. I haven't posted a whole lot in like the last 30 days because I've been working some contracts, some other things. I've talked to you guys. I do through joint ventures and things. We've talked about those strategies. I don't recommend taking the 30 days like I did. It's going to take me time to build up my organic pipeline. It absolutely will. But I do a lot through joint ventures, and I've done trainings on those. Well, I had a call with someone yesterday who's from Canada, living in Mexico, runs his business from down there. We're talking about doing some stuff. And he asked me, he's like, man, I haven't seen you post in a while. I love your stuff. What do you like? He would rarely comment on my post, rarely engage, but he brought up the fact that he goes, I love your post and what you were posting. I'm not seeing it. So just because someone isn't commenting or engaging doesn't necessarily mean they aren't seeing it. Please understand that. Now, you can increase their, the people that are seeing it and what they're doing based off of engagement. Facebook's going to push it out a little bit further, but okay, there's more content there. Facebook uses a ton of different ways to prioritize what they're going to put and how they're going to put it. So some detailed data points. How recently was it pushed? How frequently you're posting. Facebook looks at how frequently you're posting. So if you're like me, where I took this time off, Facebook's going to take a little bit before it starts to put it back in front of people. Are you interacting with other people's pages, and have they interacted with you? Are the other people interacting with the same type of post? Make sure, negative feedback isn't good. And what I mean by negative feedback is, like you guys saw, I can report it. Right? Or they took away the down, like I don't like it, but you can put angry, or if they say something here, the algorithm picks all that stuff up. So pay attention. Don't automate everything essentially means you can program out and automate when things are posted and what's going on, but you still need to come in and comment and interact with others. Don't just promote products and services, meaning not every post is going to be business related, right? Build a community. So your story post, authority building post, lead nurtures, and personal posts. You have, again, to go back to inside the dashboard, you've got this training. Accelerator members, you have the Traffic Explosion Masterclass, but you have in here engagement templates. Use what's in here. Watch this video. Use these posts. Play around with it and get active. Get super active. Set up, like, it's Friday. Let's challenge, let's put out, what day is it? Today's what, the 10th? Is that right? Yes? Did somebody nod for me? Okay. So it's the 10th. If you guys are, some of you guys, this is for people that have launched, and if you haven't launched yet, I would still recommend at least a piece of this. If you've identified, as long as you've identified your niche. If you haven't identified your niche, then just get active on your own page. So here's what we're going to do. It's going to be at least one daily post, at least two to 5 daily stories. One post, 2 to 5 stories. Does everybody know what I mean when I say stories? Okay. Stories when you're on Facebook is right here. So I can watch somebody's story, right? This is James. He's actually, he runs a huge VA team, really for bigger companies. But guy I've done business with for years and years. So you can create a story here. It's easier to do. You can type in or upload a photo. You can do it from here on the computer. It's easier on your phone. So if I'm on my phone, let me kind of spotlight myself here for everybody real quick. All right. If I'm on my phone and I go into Facebook, and Instagram has the same thing. So I've got my Facebook app. Yeah. Everybody see that? I can create a story right here. So I've got pictures, videos I can use. I can add text, music. I can film myself and talk for 10 seconds, for 15 seconds, right? Pretty easy, honestly, pretty straightforward. I can take this beautiful sunset from last night and go, oh, that's great. And I can, loved walking out in the sunset, blah, blah, like something. The reason stories are important is because studies are showing more and more that people will get on. A lot of times people will get on, they'll watch stories without actually scrolling through their newsfeed. And if you're posting consistently in the stories, what Facebook wants and what Instagram wants and what TikTok wants, they want people to stay on the platform as long as possible. Okay, so good question, Terry. I'll hit on that in just a second. We all understand that, right? Facebook, Instagram, all of these companies, the big companies, make money through paid ads. Now, we're not trying to run paid ads, right, to begin with, but that's how Facebook makes money. So when they go to run ads, when these businesses run ads, they want these users on the platform. So one place that they can run ads is in the stories. They can run ads in the news feed. They can run ads in Messenger. Like you can pick to run an ad just about anywhere. The platform wants us, its users, to stay on. They just want you to be on the platform. So if I'm posting content that keeps people on that platform, Facebook likes that. If people watch your story and you're consistently posting stories, Facebook will start to put your story in front of people, in front of your audience, your friends and family and other people. Now on Facebook and Instagram, they're starting to recommend people, not just businesses, in your news feed. You'll get a recommended post because you followed somebody else. Let me see if I can find one. So here, this is something, 16 strange symptoms of anxiety, right? This is Anna, the anxiety coach. And they're recommending this to me because I follow other mental health professionals and I've looked up things about stress and anxiety and ADHD and everything else. So they're starting to recommend posts and individuals in the newsfeed. But that means that person, Anna, the anxiety coach, is putting out content related to topics that I'm looking at. Is everybody following me with this? So if I've got an audience, and that's an audience of real estate agents, digital marketers, women entrepreneurs, and I look at what they engage with. Yes, consistency is the key. Above everything else is consistency. Put out content. I wasn't consistent over the last 30, 40 days. So they're going to punish me. It's going to take a little bit to get back going. If you're brand new, it's going to take a little bit to gain momentum. Just like it's physics, ladies and gentlemen, the algorithm works the same way. A body in motion will stay in motion. But it's harder to get that initial inertia going. Yes, we understand that. Same thing here. I don't just walk up and kick a rock and all of a sudden, I cause a landslide. It takes a little bit to get going. Now, if I have identified my target audience, how many times have you guys heard us when we talk about branding, we talk about marketing, we talk about your target audience? If I have identified my target audience and I understand what they're looking for, I understand who they're following and what kind of posts that they're engaging with, which is not that difficult to do. So if I'm doing digital marketing, I'm going to go look at Gary Vee and Russell Brunson. I'm looking at things. I'm going to look at the hashtags that they've got. I'm going to look, and all of this stuff, guys, we've done on other trainings and everything, but I'm going to look at what they're paying attention to, and I'm going to tailor my content to them. Yeah. Because it's about what your audience wants to hear. It's not about, well, I want to make sure my voice is heard. Okay, well, your message won't get out until you get in somebody's ear. And you're not going to get in their ear just standing in the corner and screaming and shouting. Okay, so let me hit a couple of questions. Yeah, so Patrick's saying people watch you, don't engage. Difference between reels and stories. So reels are typically, they're actually, Instagram just is expanding it, so they're going to be a little bit longer, but 60 to 90 seconds or so is typically a reel. Facebook has the same type of thing because Facebook owns Instagram, but it's a 60-second video, and you can post it. So if I'm on Instagram, and again, I'm going to show you through the app here. If I'm on Instagram here, I can look at, oh, that's pulling up. Let me pull it here. So like this is my page. Yeah. And I can look there where the little videos are. There we go. And there are reels here. But this is why it's important to be consistent. I've got one that's got 560 views, and then I've got one that's got 10,000 views. I got one that's got 300 views, and then there's another one with, 11,000 views. Like it's consistency. There's not necessary at times, the formula works, and at times you go, I don't know. Like I'm doing what it says. That went great. And then I did the exact same thing and the exact same type of video, almost the exact same hashtags. You get 10,000 plus views. You just keep doing it, right? So Lynn's saying, I haven't used Facebook except to join private groups. Should I go through the Facebook session first and learn more about it? Yeah, I would go through the training that's in there, and you're going to have access to other training. Go to my YouTube channel, Lynn, and I've got a couple of like Facebook basics. Actually, I'll try and find those and email them to you. But just like basics of Facebook, it's important to understand kind of what's going on. So those are reels that I just showed you. They're typically a 60-second clip, 60 to 90 seconds, and you can post them. A story is typically 15 seconds. Now you can upload a reel into the stories and it'll break it up into 15-second clips, right? And you don't need, but you can post, you can write out text, you can ask questions, you can do surveys, you can do all sorts of stuff inside of stories. Occasionally presenting, this is where you get to present yourself and be human as well. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I know that scares the hell out of some of you guys, but do more of it. I need to do more of it, right? But be human, because that's how you're going to connect with your audience. Speak to them, tell them a little bit what's going on, but it's not a bad thing to do. Okay. Do you always need to relate to your niche? No, you don't. Not always. Talk about what's going on, be relevant, be topical with things that are happening, all over the world. You don't necessarily have to be controversial. But yeah. So can you send that to me also? Yep. What can we post in those Facebook groups that are directed towards our potential customers? So Michaela, you have the Traffic Explosion Masterclass. I would go back through there, but what I would do is hop in underneath inside the, it's section 9 here inside the accelerator training. It's section 10, but the Facebook group hacking, like what to post and how to post. A big part of this is, and Blake has talked about it, Darren has talked about it on some of my calls. You want to be in there, you want to be helpful. So I want to post something that is engaging to the audience, but there's asking questions, and then there's asking questions that people can obviously tell are clickbait, right? What are you doing for your marketing? Oh, okay. They're going to try and sell me something for marketing, right? If you're in a group where every single member is doing the exact same thing, then you're probably in the wrong group. It depends on what's your niche, Carrie. That would be the question. And if everyone is in there, yeah, Krissa, can you drop the YouTube link in here, and then we can put it in the Skype group as well. If everybody's doing the exact same thing, if I'm in a group and everybody in that group is just selling, then I probably want to look for a different group, or want to find a way to engage with them and say, look, I want to, I mean, network marketing and digital marketing is typically where those are the groups that all they want to do is sell their own stuff, buy my shit. Like, that's their thing, right? New opportunity. I made this much money. Look at what this person is doing with trading. Like, if that's all it is, and if you look, guys, and if half of the posts are almost bots or something, Jamie and I when we were doing some research in Facebook groups the other day, we ran into some posts that we were like, oh, these are groups I don't want to join, because it was obvious that the administrator for that group wasn't policing the group. It was just kind of running wild. It wasn't wild west. It was like, I don't know, Sodom and Gomorrah, like ancient Rome, like craziness going on in the groups. We're like, oh, we're going to join something else. We got to look for something where my audience is and they're participating in a positive way, right? You want to look for something. Yeah, you could have the golden object, Becky, but if you're in a group and nobody's paying attention to anybody else's post, that's not a good group, right? Just because a group is posting, look at the engagement levels on the posts. Are there questions being asked that people are actually interacting with? Like, is there a level of conversation going on where you can tell these are people that are caring about their business, or is it just people selling stuff? Now, if I'm in a group of professionals that's in, massage therapy, odds are they're going to be talking about, like, it's not going to be just, buy my salt scrub. They're going to be doing other things, right? So it depends on the industry that you're in. You've got to be aware, digital marketing is great. There's millions of digital marketers. Network marketing is great. There's millions of network marketers, but you also have to understand who your audience is. If I'm in a group with contractors, they're talking about bids and software and dealing with customers and how to find subcontractors and how they can find new customers for themselves because they can't get out and network. It's different than the only thing that's going on in some of these groups is them promising the next opportunity. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't money to be made there, but you got to find a way to stand out, or you got to find a group where people are looking for something and not just trying to sell. Right? Does that make sense, guys? Kathy, if you're in the Skype group, I'll message you there. Okay, we'll do that there. Does that make sense, guys, when I'm talking about content and like groups and what I'm looking for? Pay attention to what, get into a group and look, because you can pull through, you can dive in to a group. Somebody give me a niche. Dean Graziosi is great to follow. Somebody give me a niche. Female entrepreneurs. Okay. Female entrepreneurs groups. All right. Black ops. Like Secret Service type stuff. What are we talking about?
No, the Black Ops spreadsheet.
Oh, I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. Here's the thing. So obviously I'm not going to be able to join a private group. You guys can join some of these, but if I look at this one, this is small business. This is owners, entrepreneurs. So I'll just look at this, right? Because it's public. There's 212,000 members. Here's what I'm looking for, though. Okay. We're in New Hampshire. First year. I don't think we'll make it enough to have a claim for taxes. So they're talking about taxes, right? Do we get the name? Do we get everything? Like, that's a legit business question. Got some time to kill this week. Send me your SEO website. So I'll do an SEO audit. Sure. Talk with them. I would reach out to this person and go, hey, so Julio, what are you doing with social media? I'm doing XYZ. Maybe we can connect because I don't do SEO. Now, because Julio's got 79 people that messaged about doing SEO for their website. So maybe a joint venture right there would be something worth addressing, right? This is This question for me is close to clickbait, but it's a decent question because he's getting some comments, right? So it would just be, how is he following this up, right? Is he offering life coaching or something to help them through, or what's he doing? But this is something I would come through here. And on this post, there's 14 comments. So I would, instead of top comments, I would go all comments, and I would start looking through here and like that and answering, like, oh, look, H. Paul Stanley answered. Love this. Helpful input. Thanks for sharing, right? You can look back through. Adrian posted, Jacob answered. Amber posted, Samuel answered. Amber answered, Samuel, Amber, like getting engagement, right? That's what it's about. I would go in and comment back on some of these people. This one's maybe, look, 45 comments. This is a good group. People are actually engaging. What's the one book you'd recommend? 132 comments. Think and Grow Rich. Oh, I love that one. Did you read this? Extreme Ownership, E-Myth, right? Like engaging back and forth. Oh, I read that one. You know, I love this. What did you like about? 132 comments. This is, you know, I'm looking for groups where there's actual engagement, right? Real engagement. Because if we go back and we look at this, I'm sure you could find some. So these are, okay, so this is a public group, so I can at least look at it some. Minimalist side income, that I don't have to put in too much work. I need ideas. Okay, so what pops up here when someone asks this, what do you think is going to be here? You'll have a couple of people that kind of ask a legit follow-up. Everybody else is like, buy my shit, right? I want to engage in groups where there's actual conversation, and where I'm not flooded with, like, this is just selling things to, like, why, you know, buy my dress. What is that? Female entrepreneurs. What's going on? That's only an hour old, so one comment's kind of okay. Interested women can inbox me. Like, I don't want to be in a group where this is all I see. Get clients without paid ads, work from home, non-English speaking stuff there. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry. So if everything that's in here is, this is an offer, this is an offer, the other one is an offer, you know, your document solution, here's your offer. Like, if that's all it is, that's not going to be the best thing for me. Right? I want to look for groups where there's engagement going on, because engagement means people that are actually paying attention and they're active in that group and not just trying to sell. That's what you're looking for. If all of the groups that you're in are the ones that are just selling stuff, you won't get engagement on your page. You won't get anybody following you back. You won't get engagement on your posts, meaning no traction, no growth, no sales. Can we see how that flows out? It's just taking an extra minute. Just because there's a bunch of people in a group doesn't necessarily mean it's a good group. Okay. So these slides are going to go into, Chris, do me one more favor, drop the Skype group link into the, and all of these guys, network marketing, life coaches, tax planning, all of those, you can find groups, every single one of them, because I've looked them up, right? Look things up, find the groups for yourself. And then if you can't find groups, tweak it a little bit, tweak what you're looking for. Think of how they present themselves, not necessarily how you're thinking about them. Join the Skype group. I'm going to give you these slides here in a couple minutes. It's going to be there. Just do some work this week, you know, and challenge yourself to be more active in groups and more active on your own page. So post on your page, but find groups where people are active, and then be active in those groups. That's what you need. All right, hold on one second. Appreciate everybody.
Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think.
Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are.